Welcome back, everybody. So, a little update on what I got done yesterday. I got the differential pretty well cleaned up, enough to get it in here, and I just dry fitted it in the case with the differential, or with the final drives rather, in place to see how things fit. And it got just a little bit of side-to-side play. I checked it in between the differential and the Babbitt, and it's about 4 to 5 thou side-to-side play clearance. In my opinion, that seems about right. If anybody has any other opinions about that, what it should be, or if that's too tight, or well, it can't really be. We could make it looser at this point. Making it tighter isn't really an option without a ton of work. But yeah, I'd like to hear your opinions. You think that's enough play? I kind of think it is. So yeah, we got that cleaned up. I didn't make any videos yesterday or Friday, because Mom and Dad made a quick weekend trip out here. Last minute, they decided to come out for a little visit, so I spent a lot of the weekend visiting with them. But yesterday afternoon, Dad and I came out because of course he wanted to see how things were coming out here. So we came out, and one thing led to the next, and we actually ended up taking apart the transmission. Got to looking at it a little bit more and decided it wouldn't be too bad to take it all apart. Originally, I was leaning towards leaving it together because we didn't want to mess with disturbing the bearings and stuff, because they're pressed in and whatever. But we gently started taking it apart and seeing how tight those bearings were fit in there, and they came apart really nicely. A little bit of tap with the on the end of the shaft with the soft hammer, and everything came apart just beautifully. We had to get a little puller in and pull this one bearing off, but that came off super easy too. So really happy with how it came apart. So we kind of got it laying out here on the bench, kind of how it goes together, just to give people some idea of what's inside this thing. This is your shifting gear here. That slides on that spline there. That's your main shaft coming from your clutch, going all the way to your PTO, or belt pulley rather, not PTO. So this will make life a lot easier. So now I can take this gear right off, clean up all these little burrs on the gears where there's been, ground into gear over the years. So I can take and clean them all up nice and smooth to prevent any future wear from occurring on this tractor, because these gears are been abused. They have, I don't know if you can see it on the camera here or not, none of this stuff is cleaned up yet, but this idler gear has some significant wear in like 2 spots basically, because of the edges of these ground up gears wearing on that idler gear. So if we clean up these gears, that'll prevent any other future wear on this gear. And as long as the guy is careful shifting it from now on, these gears are in good enough shape. They should last many years. It's not worth replacing the gears or anything at this point, I wouldn't say, because they're, other than the leading edges and stuff, they're not really worn at all. They're very minimal for a 100-year-old tractor. Acceptable amount, I would say, put it that way. But gotta clean all this up yet. But so that's your shifting fork. That obviously engages in that gear and slides it back and forth. So that goes on this shaft, and there's a set screw and a lock nut to hold it on the dimple hold in that shaft. Like we briefly talked about in the past, there's your 3 detents on the shifting fork rail. So yeah, there's a little ball and a spring inside of a hollow, what do you call that, a bolt, I guess, with a lock nut, and that screws in there. And then so you do have some adjustment. You can tighten down on that fitting to put more or less pressure on that spring, which is putting more or less pressure on that detent. So I know Norm was curious to see what that was all about, because he has to address that on his industrial, from what I understand. There's something is wrong there. If I had to guess, probably either fatigued or broken spring would be my guess, is what the culprit is on that. But it's a relatively easy thing to fix if it's all apart. Really easy if it's all apart. And it's still doable if it's all still together. You just got to be really careful taking it apart, that you don't drop parts down inside where you have to fish them back out. But I just wanted to kind of give you guys a little update of what we have been up to. Everything just needs to be cleaned up as far as this goes. This set of gears we're probably going to leave in there, because the best we can tell, these gears are pressed on to this shaft, which is riding in oil light, like shoulder bushings on either side. So it could come apart, but I don't know, at this point, I don't know if it's necessary to take it apart, because any cleaning I need to do on burrs and stuff on these gears I can easily get at now, and it'll make cleaning out this whole housing significantly easier now that all the guts are taken out of it. So that'll be happening here probably in the next couple of weeks or something. So stay tuned for more on that. So I kind of left you guys hanging last week as far as what I was going to do with this. So this is the rear plate that goes on the back of the transmission, and your belt pulleys on this side. So on that main shaft that sticks out there that drives the belt pulley, we need something to seal that. Basically your transmission fluid from leaking past that into the belt pulley area, because the belt pulley it's got that grease cup on it to grease that bavette, where everything in the transmission is obviously transmission fluid. So there has to be a seal in there, and I dug out what was left of the original seal. I don't remember if I showed this yet or not. So it is like a braided, what did the parts book call it? A braided rope packing or something like that. And the original one actually has little bits of like copper wire embedded in it. There's actually like a little piece of a tin in there, but I don't know if that's going to be available at all or not. So what Lawrence had here on hand is some rope packing that is from an industrial source. It's for like a industrial water pump for like a drilling rig, and some leftover from a project. But we did just a test to see if it would work or not. Just kind of a proof of concept type of thing. So there's actually two little pieces in there just to kind of see how it would work. Obviously I'll take that back out and fit in one nice piece, and I'll put the seam towards the top, so less likely to leak. And I think this will work. It's actually a little bit bigger than what a guy needs. So what I did is I just squashed it in the bench vise ever so slightly to make it a little bit thinner, so I could stick it in this groove and just kind of worked it in there with the smooth, like the end of a screwdriver or whatever, something smooth, just to kind of work it in that groove. And I think once it's all fit in there nice and tight, it should make a nice seal on this shaft here. and it should run cool and everything because it's designed for circumstances that are, you know, a fraction of what this thing will be turning at. You know, it's designed for thousands of RPMs, and this thing is only going to be turning what, you know, 800 RPMs or something. You know, not much at all. And it's, you know, obviously you can't tell from the video, but it's kind of a slippery. It's like it feels like a Teflon. It's a smooth. So I think it'll be a good fit for this. And if not, we'll figure out something else. But that's what I'm going to try. So that kind of an update on that. That's kind of where we're at this point. I'm still, I'm not sure what I'm going to work on here today, to be honest with you. I might start cleaning up some of these transmission parts just because they're laying out here and kind of easy to work on. But I just kind of figured I'd come out here for at least a couple hours today and get something done so I'd have something to post this week. Otherwise, you guys might wonder what I was up to. Kind of gives a guy a little more motivation to get something done if you try to get at least a little video done each week. So I'll check back with you later. Okay, so another update for the end of the weekend here. What did I get done? So I cleaned up the axles, pinion drives, and got them just roughly in here with the little keeper collars, I guess you can call them. And oops, I just heard I only got one cotter pin, so I fell out of that side. So anyway, I got just the inside of this. I got to clean up this side yet. But anyway, I just was curious to see how much end play I had in the axles, you know, because the babbitt on this side, if you remember, was in really good shape, but the babbitt on this side was really worn, right? So I was expecting this side to be really sloppy and that side to be tight. Well, turns out it's not. It's the exact opposite, which kind of has me a little surprised and confused. There's about 25 thou end play slop in this axle, which is not bad. Let me know what you guys think. Should it be less? Should it be more? I'm assuming it should be more, but how much play should a guy have in that? I'm debating whether should a guy make new collars, you know, oversized to make that play exactly what I want. You know, say, do I want 5 thou play? You know, what should it be? Anybody got any advice on that? I don't really know. So then this side is a lot worse. This side is like 65 thou play, which is way too much in my opinion. It shouldn't be that much play. But there again, it'd be easy enough to make that new collar keeper. But how much, what should that spec be? That's what I need to know. If anybody out there has any opinions on that. So yeah, that's kind of what I got done here. And then at some point, I'll have to look at making up some new, so these are the drive, what do you want to call them? The little drive on the pinions. So there is a significant amount of wear on them as well. You can see that. Quite a bit worn. Of course, they're worn on the one side where that side there's zero wear, and that side is all the wear, because that'd be the side all your pressure is on. And then even the rollers are, you can probably see that in the video, they're not flat, they are worn. So I'll probably end up doing all new of both. All new, both pieces, both sides, because some of the square heads on, let's see if I can find one of them. some of the square heads like that one are broken, and you're going to see that it's all visible on the end. So I kind of, if nothing else for cosmetic purposes, I want to get that fixed. See, this left side axle, there was not nearly as much wear on them, which again seems kind of strange to me. I was expecting, seeing the Babbitt, I thought there'd be more wear, so I don't know, whatever. And then one other thing we never talked about when we were talking about the whole oil drip system, you know, it goes down there and in there and through there and then drips back, if you remember all that from a few videos back. Well, it also goes to that outer flange, to the back side of these pins, and it's all full of gunk at the moment, but there's a hole there that is drilled in halfway to another hole here, which is full of gunk. So a little bit of lube makes it in there to lube these rollers, and then from there it just works its way out and drips to the ground, I suppose. Well, so little probably actually makes it out that far that it probably really doesn't make much of a mess, I'm guessing. Which is all the more reason with, you know, that lube system and everything, why this, I think this tolerance is kind of important. You got that felt seal around that outside there to keep the lube from coming out of this joint and hopefully going into those roller pins. So ultimately, I guess at this point it comes down to deciding how much play should there be. What's acceptable? What should it be? Because at this point it can be fixed rather easily, and now is the time to fix that, because I don't want to have to take it all back apart once things are painted and done and the tractor's together. I want to address these issues now while it's easy to do. So yeah, let me know what you think. And then I suppose once we get that figured out, and once I figure out for sure my lock washer situation, which I think I'm going to try that O-ring suggestion, put an O-ring inside of that 5/8 washer, and to keep that lock washer centered on the bolt. I think I'm going to get some O-rings and try that. Once I decide for sure if that's going to work, I'll probably end up putting these final drives on for good. You know, seal them all up good and leave them on there permanently, because like I said, I think this whatever about 4 or 5 thou play in the differential, probably can't hear it with the furnace running, but there's just a tiny bit of play in there. I think that's probably acceptable. There again, let me know what you think. If there should be more, I can always add a tiny gasket on one or either side like there was originally. So yeah, let me know what you think as far as clearances go, and I will keep you updated on this project. Next week we'll get some more done. Thanks for watching.